Hi everyone, my name is Rafaelle Rabello. I'm from Federal University of Pará, Brazil. The title of my presentation is Between Absence and Presence, Augmented Reality as a Self-Fiction Poetic. The creation process comprises a series of important steps that configure the work derived from actions and reactions. As a research artist, I was able to perceive the different dimensions that were touching the modus operandi and that ended up coming into harmony with the issues that guide the thinking about the images. This path of experimentation was defined by affective resonance that formed the basis of my venturing between technicality and artisticity. From this effective link, the creation process creates a more emotional zone that goes beyond the technical operationality of the device and reveals a connection with the life stories, a past, and memory that I didn't belong to. So, an album came to me, partially destroyed by the action of time. An album that passed on from my grandmother to my mother, and from my mother to me, when I became responsible of safeguarding some of the family's memory objects. For many years, the album was kept in a closet, as well as many photographies and other family albums. It was able to live through it several times, especially when moving house, when we use it to keep things in boxes, or when the clothes was being put away. In the movement of bringing it to me, some memories objects, I was acquiring more emotional connections that served as a bridge to access memories, nostalgic feelings for people we love. The album, according to my mother accounts, it's dating around the end of the 60s. But within it, it comprises an overlapping of multiple times that bring traces of stories time, clipping and a linear narrative, presented by the arrangement of photographs of the pages. I vaguely remember this album from my childhood. My grandmother always left it on the shelf in the living room or somewhere accessible for another who wanted to read it, could left through it. It was an object always accessible to everyone. But it was only in my teens that I started to form some kind of bond with it. I loved smelling the old album, touch the texture, flipping through the pages, and see so many unfamiliar faces and stories in those vellowed and weather-worn photographies. Soon after the birth of my first godson in 1999, I started telling him many stories from this page. The album revealed a mystery, and that caught my attention. Tracks and voids as elements that also told a story, not only about photographies the album narrated, but about other stories that remain unknown to me until today. Some pages were never interfered with, conserving an empty space without pictures or tracks. Other, over time, had their photos taken away, leaving traces that space had once been occupied by something. The remaining material memory in this album brings portraits of known and unknown relatives, part of my maternal family, and other people who were inserted in that place due to some sentimental factors. Faced with that object, I suddenly feeling of belonging in that space made me immerse myself in its space, starting a process that would allow me to occupy and feel that was left out. This process of moving into the album comprises the movement of creation and presented a series of important steps until it was time to leave it. The creative moment included the intervention process in the album, mediated by augmented reality technology, by integrating virtual elements over physical elements. From this hybrid experience, temporal leaps were allowed, an empty space were revealed, and images were hybridized by subjective layers of perceptive, such as visual, textual, and sound information. To accomplish it, I started researching some augmented reality apps. The Erasmus app, updated for HP Review, emerged as an important step towards the operationalization of the entire work. However, it was only used for viewing the layers of information on the mobile device. The information database and the implementation were carried out by the online platform and executed through the browser by the notebook. Together, the two systems allowed me to immerse myself in the album space, boosting its place and proposing a new narrative. For each void and gap left by time, so the characters emerge and reconfigure the album's narrative chain. This is a portrait of my grandparents and my mother in a bar in 1962. The image prompted me to investigate songs that were highlights of the time. In 1962, Gilda Lopes released the song L'Arlequin de Toledo. Therefore, I propose, based on the ribbons elements that the image offer me, to immerse myself in this environment, listen to and perceiving the image through layers that overlap and make the experience of seeing a mixture of sounds and scents. The idea of self-fiction arises precisely because it brings photographic productions of my own authorship in a mix with the photographies already present in the album. These intersections of authorship that unfolds in the presentation of another narrative, where I sometimes include myself as a present character, sometimes as a reading agent, allows me to move through the chain of memory and feel that I belong to that space-time. The movement is noted as a mobilization of narrative strategies that enunciate events that are not related to fidelity of the facts within the album, but in the transposition of what had been felt. The self-fiction poetic was configured in layers, revealing images, sound, textuality, and movements within the space. The layers of these digital objects, some of my authorship and others not, affected by the application reconfigured the album in a mobile memory space, since such information can move, discontinue, and boost other memories at another time. The Augmented Reality, a self-fiction poetic, is a work through which I invented a personality in existence. This style engendered in this first creative movement that allows me to redesign what the album introduced me to mix with them with the memories that I live and those that escaped me. I appreciate everyone's attention and see you guys soon. Bye.